All right, I'd like to demonstrate for you a mentalism card effect based on a card trick I did years ago called interactive flip. Now, I just want you to know this is not the same trick. This is quite different. It may come across as a similar trick at first, but there is a slight tweak to it, as you'll see, that really adds to the impossibility of this effect. So here, I'll get on with the demonstration. So what we're going to do is just mix up a deck of cards, and you're going to have the spectator just select between 10 and 20 random cards, okay? And as long as it's an even number, so let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10, somewhere between 10 and 20, 11, 12, let's say 12 cards, okay? They could do 14 and 15 or 16, you know, an even number between 10 and 20, okay? So they're going to select 12 cards. Then you ask the spectator to turn over any amount of cards secretly in their packet, okay? So you don't see the cards ever, what they're doing, or how many cards they may have decided to start out with. So let's just say they turn over, like I said, any amount of cards, and it can be an odd or even amount, it doesn't matter. Let's say they turn over 5 cards, okay? Now, while you're not looking, you're gonna have the spectator write down those 5 cards that they've decided to select, okay? So let's just note that now so we don't forget. So we got the Ace of Spades, the 2 of Diamonds, the 8 of Diamonds, the Jack of Hearts, and the 6 of Diamonds, okay? So we'll leave that for noting later. Set that aside. Now you take the packet back. Now you keep your head turned away from the spectator and the packet. You're just going to show the packet for demonstration, and you're not going to look the entire time. And you make it quite obvious to the spectator that you're not going to look at it. Okay, so you could further mix the packet in your hands if you want. It doesn't really matter. Now what you're going to do next is you're going to explain to the spectator that you're going to just randomly flip over some cards and leave others. And to do this without looking, you're simply just going to deal 1 card on the table and alternate flipping the second card. So down, flip, down, flip, down, flip, down, flip, down, flip, down, flip, just like so. So without looking, you just go through the entire deck, alternating, flipping every second card. Now, obviously, some of the cards that they turn face up may have flipped over, some of them may have not, depending on the position that they were originally in the packet. Next, what you're going to do is have the spectator decide. You can just pull out, again, you're not looking the entire time, you just pull off a pair of cards and ask them if they want to keep them as is or flip them. Let's say they decide to flip them. Maybe they keep these ones as is, maybe they want to flip these ones, maybe flip these ones, keep those, and maybe flip those, okay? Again, you give the packet maybe a little mix, and then you go on to say that we're going to actually randomize each individual card, flipping them over, simply by using the color of the card. Now again, the colors of each card, of course, are completely random. They selected any cards they wanted, including, of course, the cards they selected to turn over. They could be any colors, all right? So you're going to go through each card individually, and the spectator can choose what color they want to flip and what colors they want to keep in the same position. So let's say they decide that the blacks will flip and the reds will keep in the same position. So what you're going to do, without looking again, you're still never looking at the packet. You're going to just pull out the first card, and you're simply going to do this maneuver just to show the spectator the color of the card, okay? Now, obviously, you don't know if the card's face up or face down, so you have to do this for each card, okay? And, of course, the spectator will see that it's a red card, and so if they decided to flip red cards, they'll flip that. Now, I can't remember what I said they were deciding, but let's just say for this demo then that they decided to flip red cards. So they see that it's red, so they'll tell you to flip it, okay? I'll go to the next card. You do this maneuver again to show them the color of the card. They see it's red, they'll tell you to flip it. Again, you do the same maneuver without looking. They see it's a black card, they'll tell you to leave it as is. All right, so you do that maneuver, keeping the card in the original position and waiting for their response. They see it's a red card, they'll tell you to flip it. They'll tell you to flip this one. They see it's a black card, they'll tell you to keep it as is. This stays the same. They'll tell you to flip that. They'll tell you as is. And of course, you're doing that maneuver, so they'll see it's a red card, they'll tell you to flip it. And they'll see this is obviously red, they'll tell you to flip that. Okay? So, completely random, quite a mix of face up, face down cards. I'm sure the spectator will readily agree. Now what you're going to do is you're going to do one more time just to totally cement the idea of complete randomness. You're going to, 2 cards at a time, ask the spectator to either leave them face up or face down. Again, you're still not looking as this is happening. They choose whether to flip or keep face up all the way through, just like before. Okay, so complete random mess. Now, for the first time, you now look at the packet so that you can deal the cards onto the table as is, how they're left face up, face down, however way. Now, obviously, it's impossible to know what original cards were turned face up at the very beginning. I mean, this is completely random. I'm sure you would readily agree. But what we're going to do now for this mentalism demonstration is we're going to go through each individual card and get a sense of what card should remain face down or turned over. Okay? And the goal here is, what you're going to explain, is you're going to end up with a stack of cards with all the selected face-up cards that they originally turned face up. They're all going to be left face down in a packet of face-up cards. Okay? So the selected cards will remain face down, and then we'll verify if they were actually the selected cards. Okay, so you can present this however you like. I mean, you could hold their arm or something and play like you're, picking up on some intuitive signals from the spectator, and then, however you see fit. So let's start with this first card. So we're going to flip this card, and I'm going to sense at the next card that this is actually going to be flipped also. I'll go to the next card here, and I'm sensing that this is going to be flipped also. No, wait a minute. No, this is going to remain. This is going to remain face down. I'm going to sense that this one is going to be flipped. I'm sensing this one is going to this is going to remain. This one is going to remain also. This one's going to be flipped. This one is going to be flipped. This will be flipped. This one will remain. And this one, we're sensing, will be remaining. And this, lastly, intuitively, sensing that this will be flipped. Okay, so let's see if we got this right. Now, you couldn't have known how many cards they've turned over right at the very beginning, or what cards they would have been on that, for that matter. So we're going to see if we did this correct. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 face down cards. Now, there should be quite an amazing reaction, of course, from just knowing that you got 5 cards. But can we verify that they're indeed those 5 cards? So here are the cards originally. So let's see if we've got them. So we've got the 2 of diamonds. There's the 2 of diamonds. There's the ace of spades. There's the 6 of diamonds. The jack of hearts. And lastly, the 8 of diamonds, the 5 cards they originally selected. So that's it. So that's how the trick works, or looks, and I'll go on now to how that was done. So basically, it's all self-working. There's just a thing at the end I have to explain how I knew what cards to turn. So let's just, for this explanation, we'll just use the same cards that we wrote down here for the selection. So we've got the ace of spades, 2 of diamonds, 8 of diamonds, jack of hearts, and the 6 of diamonds, okay? And we'll just stick those now. They can be anywhere in the packet. Again, it's just any amount of cards they can turn face up within an even amount of cards between 10 and 20, okay? This will work every time. So what you're going to do, of course, without looking, you're going to go through just like explained in the video. You're just going to alternate through the cards. Down, place the first card down, flip the second card, down, flip, down, flip, down, flip, down, flip, down, flip, okay? So once you've done that, you can cut the cards, or you can do this, what seems like a mix. You're not actually mixing the cards. You can't mix the cards. It won't work. But you can demonstrate that, make it seem like you're mixing the cards by splitting the cards in half, and then just, or actually not even in half, you can just take a few cards from the top. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to slide some of the cards from the bottom of the other packet on top of the one in your other hand, and then the top cards of the packet in the one hand to the bottom, and just keep alternating like that. And it creates the illusion that you're mixing cards, but really all you're doing is you're just changing the cyclic order of the card. So you're just basically doing this. You're just cutting and recutting. That's all you're doing, okay? But it just gives the illusion that you're mixing the cards. I believe this is called the sloppy shuffle by, I learned this from Miss Meg 822, who actually invented it. I'm not sure, but anyways, the sloppy shuffle works good. And then once you've done that, you're gonna have the spectator decide what cards to flip. So you do 2 cards at a time, ask them to flip or not. They can decide whatever, so you just go through randomly. Okay, again, you're not looking the whole time. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the random flipping of based on the colors of the cards. Now this seems to add more chaos to the whole thing when really this actually helps you for later, which I'll demonstrate in a second. But what we're going to do is we're going to just flip the black. Let's just say we just choose to flip blacks, and we'll leave the reds. So the black, flip, leave the red, leave the red, leave the red, flip the black, leave the red, leave the red, leave the red, flip the black, and leave the red. Okay, so now again, you can cut them if you want, or do the sloppy shuffle. Again, not looking the whole time, and then you could go through the pairs of card randomness again, just to totally cement the idea that this is really truly a random arrangement of face-up, face-down cards. Now what you do, you look at the packet for the first time and you deal the cards out exactly the way they are on the table, okay? Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna start from the last card and work your way back. You could actually start from the first card, I believe. I think it'll work the same way, but I know for sure if you start at the last card and work your way back, it'll work. So what you're going to do is you're simply going to flip the first card. You always flip the first card, okay? So you flip the first card. Now, depending on the color of the card and the move you've done, it'll determine how you're going to determine whether you're going to flip this or leave it as is. So because this is a red card and I flipped it, okay? I look at this card. Now what I've done for this one is I've actually, to add more mysteriousness to the effect, or an impossibility, I've marked the red and black cards. So I know which cards are black, which cards are red when they're face down, okay? You can mark them however way you like. I just put a little, I just blocked out a little dot on the card, just telling me that's a black card. But you can do whatever you want. Now, if you want to do this impromptu, you don't have to mark cards. You can just simply peek at the card and see what color it is and go from there, okay? It still is just as powerful, I think. But I think marking the cards just adds to the impossibility. Anyways, so to know whether to flip this or not, I remember you start out, you flip this card. Because I flipped this card and it's red, and I see this card is black, if the 2 colors are the opposite, you're going to do the same maneuver that you did for the previous card. Okay, so since I flipped this card and the cards are different colors, I'm going to do the same maneuver. I'll have to flip this card also, okay? Because they're different colors. Now, because I flipped the black card, I go to the next card now in sequence, how I dealt them. I go up to the next card. Because I flipped the black card, and this is a different colored card now, I have to do the same maneuver because they're different colors, okay? So I flip the black, I have to flip the red now, okay? Same maneuver because they're different colors. Now, because this is a flipped red, I go to this color, and being that it's the same color, when you come to same colors, you have to do the opposite move, okay? So because I flipped this red and they're the same colors, the opposite move is to keep it the same and not flip it, okay? Do the opposite. Now, again, I had to keep this the same. I didn't flip it. I come to the same color. Being that they're the same color, I have to do the opposite move. Because I kept this the same, this tells me I got to flip this one, okay? Does that make sense? It may seem a little confusing at first, but you'll have to look at the video again maybe, and just with practice, this is not as hard as it may seem at first. So I flip the red, I go to the next card, I see this is a black card based on my mark. This is a different color, so I have to do the same move. I flip the red, so I got to flip the black, okay? And I don't want to waste too much time in the video, but you go through the whole thing, and this will work, and your face down cards will be the selected cards. And as you can see with the start of it, I got the 8 of diamonds and the Jack of hearts started here as my face down cards. So you'll end up with all the selected cards face down every time. So that's how it works. Hope you liked it, and I think that's everything about the effect. So yeah, you'll have to obviously check back on the video to see how it was performed maybe. And with a little practice in the flipping part and, you know, recognizing the colors and what to do for the next card, it's not as hard as you might think or as confusing. So I hope you like it, and please like and subscribe if you haven't, and thank you very much.